Hey guys, Rod here at A Better Way to Farm, where we increase yields and improve profits and hopefully do a couple of other things. One, teach us to ask questions, and two, just overall make your life better. Hopefully some things to think about, some things to consider as you're going through your farming career. And today we're going to change gears. We're not getting into fertility. We're going to talk about maybe some management kinds of things. And I just want to share with you, no matter what platform you're listening to us on, we're excited to have you here. We're excited to get to be a little bitty part of your life, and we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we appreciate it a lot. So today we want to talk about spring planting success and talking about systems, cross-training, things that can help have a smoother planting season. Welcome to today's episode. We are excited about it, and today we're going to talk about setting your farm up for a smooth season by improving communication, improving planning, and ensuring that your team is cross-trained to avoid bottlenecks. Why does this matter? Well, the fact of the matter is, guys, planning sets the stage for the entire season. We know that mistakes or delays have long-term consequences, and we know that that lost yield that we lose at the beginning is never coming back. Once we take it off the table, it's gone. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes here at our own farm, we have a little trouble getting the communication down like we want it to be. And the person talking is positively sure that they said exactly what they needed to, that it was crystal clear, that no one could have possibly misunderstood, and two or three or everybody that was listening completely drew the wrong conclusion, or not necessarily the wrong conclusion, a different conclusion. If they all drew the same conclusion, obviously the one doing the talking did the wrong thing. We know that cross-training helps prevent chaos, because if someone gets sick, something breaks down, unexpected issues arise, we need to be able to jump back and forth and help one another. And I think oftentimes as we get into this, where we get into it really hard is in haying season, when we get to running hard. It's not planning, but it's the same thing. And all of a sudden somebody has to take off and go to the doctor. And the first year or two, I wasn't very good about making sure everybody knew how to do each thing. And while something as simple as raking hay may seem like no big deal, but if you only had one guy who was good at running the rake, and all of a sudden, we were in a world of hurt. Why? Because he had to take off and go to the doctor, and that meant we had guys to run the mower, and we had guys to run the baler, but we were really hurting for raking. And so all of a sudden, it was like, everybody needs to know how to do all of these different things, and it works a lot better when we do it. When we did, efficiency went way up. One of the things that is important is we do need to define our roles. We got to have a really clear plan. And so before we ever get into planting, we need to define the roles. Yes, we're going to cross-train. Yes, we're going to be able to do different things. However, we need to know what our primary function is. And one of those things that really helps is to establish a checklist. In other words, if my job is to run one piece of equipment primarily, then I need to know everything about how to run that tillage equipment. I need to know how to service it. I need to know what to look for on breakdowns. I need to know how to inspect it. If my job is to run the tender, to be the guy who brings the starter fertilizer and the guy who brings the seed, then my job is to make sure that we got all of the gas that we need, that we have all the things that it takes in order to make that work efficiently. We want to make sure that we're going as fast as we can. One of the ideas that might help us out is to have a daily meeting or a daily check-in where we adjust for things like weather and breakdowns and changing conditions. Sometimes it rained over there, but it didn't rain over here. And all of a sudden, we got to make a big change in what we're going to go do and who's going to go do it. But if we don't communicate it, they're not going to know it by osmosis. The fact of the matter is, communication is the key in talking through those things. I'm going to talk about here at the end, you're going, not another meeting. I got some ideas at the end here that I think will help you make your meetings go better, be more effective, and not be a big waste of time. You know, maybe we've got to go over and make sure everyone knows how to run the technology and how to take care of the data management. Things like, how do we use the field maps? How do we obtain the planting scripts? How do we know what micronutrients and what starter to put on what field? How do we know which seed, which hybrid goes on what field and not on another one? Because I'm assuming that all of those things are varying field by field for you. You know, it's good if they have some idea as to how to use the soil test data to guide those decisions. And the fact is, everyone needs to have access to the critical farm data, not just one person. I was just recently, someone shared with me, they have a business, and in that business, there are multiple people who are involved, And one of the people took it upon themselves to become the guardian of all the info. And they made themselves administrator of some different aspects of that business. And they were the only ones that could access that information. And while a territorial dispute might be fun for some, it's highly ineffective for everybody else. And until they got that issue resolved and had it so that everyone could get to the information that they needed, things really slowed down and it wasn't very effective. So how are we going to improve this communication for this smoother season? Well, number one, what do we have for a system that works? Is it group text? Is it radios? Is it some kind of farm management software? What is that? I know within our team for selling, we've come up with a deal called GroupMe, and it has been very, very effective because we just put the people into the group that need to be there, that need the information, and it's not wide open to the whole world, and we're not sending out a bunch of individual text or trying to keep track of, is it this text list or this text list? Because in the GroupMe, it's one specific group, and I know exactly what I'm going to get when I send that, and the people know exactly who they're going to send it to when they respond. And we've found that to be a big, big help. Another thing that's really key in the communication is to have very clear expectations. Non-clear expectations are the recipe for an explosion somewhere down the road. When we don't make our expectations clear, we know there's going to be conflict somewhere later down the road because everyone is assuming, and we all know how that works out. What do we need to check before pulling into a field? Do we have the right hybrid? As we're leaving a field, have we shared any breakdowns or potential things that we see going wrong? Are we hearing a bearing squeak? Are we noticing the things that are going on, and are we communicating that? When we have these preseason meetings to get ready to start, as we talk about our tasks and we talk about our concerns, we go over contingency plans of things that we can do to make it better, things that might be different. But let's talk about how to have an effective meeting. One of the coolest ideas that we came up to was to have a strict time limit. In other words, this meeting is going to be 15 or 20 minutes max, because after that, everybody else is losing focus and they're ready to go. Maybe we have to use a timer to stay on track. But one of the most important things that I heard was this: have your meeting standing up. This isn't sit around the office and get comfortable in the chair, space out, look at your phone. Everybody's standing up, because we're only going to do this for no more than 20 minutes. If we do that, it's going to work a lot better. If we stick to the same format, then everyone knows what to expect. And some of the things that we might do, just an idea to have an outline, because if I don't have an outline, I find myself rambling. And I watch other people speak and they go, oh man, I can't talk very long. I'm not very good at talking very long. So I didn't prepare an outline. Those are the people who invariably talk way longer than they're supposed to. They think they only talk for 3 minutes, and instead they talk for 33 minutes. Having an outline keeps the thing moving. So what would be a 5-point outline we could use? Number 1, weather and field conditions. Have we got any changes we've got to make to the planning schedule? Number 2, tasks for today. What is it that we're going to do, and who's going to do it, and what is the very top priority? Number 3, let's go over equipment and supplies. Do we have anything missing? Do we have anything broken down? Number 4, let's problem solve. Let's talk about any type of roadblocks that we have and how we're going to fix those. And number 5, a very quick review to make sure everyone is clear on their role. If we send that agenda out the night before, everyone can show up prepared and they know exactly what to expect. And that helps keep the thing focused and keeps it moving. It's a great idea to designate a leader, one person who's responsible for keeping the thing on track and moving quickly through each point. Again, standing up. I thought that was the coolest idea. Research shows that standing meetings tend to be shorter and more focused than the other ones. Number 5, avoid unnecessary storytelling or side conversations. When Bob and Jim are over there having their old home week about what they did last Friday night, that drags everybody else down. Everybody has to stay focused and paying attention, and we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. If we need a side meeting, if we need a one-on-one or 2 guys need to talk, that's cool after the meeting. Don't hold everybody hostage because 2 people need to have a conversation. And number 6, it's probably a great idea to wrap it all up. Summarize the key points and confirm with a question that each person understands what their responsibilities are. For example, you might say, hey, John is running the planter in field 3, Sarah's running the tenders, and Mike is handling the fuel run. Bob will be on standby for equipment. We'll check in at noon. Anybody got any questions? Okay. Lastly, and this one's more difficult for some, is to talk about the importance of cross-training. We know that if only one person can do a certain job, we're in trouble. If that person doesn't show, that person gets sick, life happens, and all of a sudden they can't be there, that makes unnecessary delays, and we don't want those. We want to avoid those delays if someone is unavailable, and it allows for a lot more flexibility. How are we going to do that? Probably going to have to do some cross-training by rotating responsibility before the season starts. Practice, that would be one of the things. And part of this may be we're preparing for 2026. Maybe as we get to the tail end of 25 and we can see the end, and maybe we take those people that we know are going to stay with us, that are going to be here long term, and we say, hey, we're near the end. Let's do a little switching up here, and let's learn how to run some other piece of equipment, how to do something else. The fact of the matter is nothing beats hands-on training. So if the sprayer operator gets to run the planter, the tractor driver gets to run the seed tender, somebody else gets to go get parts while the parts man learns how to drive something that he hasn't driven before, those might be a good thing. One of the things that's helped our team, not on the farm as much as in our business, but the girls have done a great job of setting up guides, maybe written, maybe videos, but we have a private Facebook page, and there are guides within those that people can go to and study and learn in order to become better at what they do. And I might have you guys might have you think about the fact that maybe those would be a great deal, and you can reference them in the middle of the season. So all of that being said, let's review the three main areas. Number one, a solid planning plan and systems will make things go smoothly. Number two, better communication will eliminate confusion and keep everyone moving in the same direction. And number three, using that cross-training to make sure that no single person is irreplaceable. Because the fact of the matter is, no matter what happens, come tomorrow, we got to go to the field anyway. So guys, I'll just leave you with this. Here's what I want you to think about. You've listened to all of this, and if you're like me, you're going, ooh, I hate another meeting. I don't like anything about this, so let's go one other angle. What's one thing that you can change or implement this week that can make your planning season run smoother this spring? Sometimes we get confused. We say, I can't do all of that, so I'm not going to do anything. Let's go with one thing. The power of one more. Let's just figure out one thing that we can do to make this go better, to make it better for all who are involved, to make less stress, to make more success, and to be able to come in and finish strong. Guys, that's just something to think about. I hope that you consider this. We appreciate you. If you find value in what we do, share us with a friend. If you would like to give our podcast a rating, that would be really cool. We'd appreciate that too. Thank you for tuning in, and we really do hope you're having a better day.